What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Apologies, I am 4 minutes late, but I was having green screen issues. I was running around like a lunatic trying to sort out my green screen because it just wasn't sitting right. But a bit of a shadow behind the chair, but we'll work with it. We'll work with it, folks. Right, loads to get through on tonight's stream. A name that we haven't spoken about before has been dropped out there by the Athletic, and Jarrod Bowen. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. Lots of stuff around Hendo again, so more mixed signals on that one. And look, yeah, we did play a couple of games yesterday as well, so loads for us to get through. And look at me here in summer white, you know what I mean? You're lucky you can't see my nipples, folks, because they take your eyes out right now, I won't lie to you. I think Bowen will be a decent player, will work well with us. Said Ben Heath. Look, we'll go through loads of bits and pieces, folks. As always, I've got my notes ready on my phone, and yeah, we'll go through everything that you want to go through. Let's start off with some news from Ronan Murphy, actually, who's just put it out there that Borussia Dortmund look like they could be close to completing the signing of Daniel Mahlen from PSV Eindhoven. That's not really a surprise to many of us. We knew that. Well, I've been saying for a while that I believe that Mahlen would most likely end up at Dortmund because of the relationship Raiola has with Dortmund as a club and the way he works. So not really much of a surprise there on that one. But, you know, the Jarrod Bowen stuff, that came out of nowhere today, folks. For those who are asking me about Sigurdsson and all that type of stuff, even though right now Everton fans are on Twitter apparently calling me racist, I don't know how I'm racist in any way, shape or form, but nor do I know what the Pearl Everton fans are crying about. But I won't comment on the Sigurdsson stuff or any of that stuff because it's not my place to do so. I don't know what's going on there, and you know, it's not football related, so I won't be touching it. You know, I could poke a little bit of fun at them over the fact that their proposed new Bramley Apple Pie in the Sky stadium has just looked like it's lost the city of Liverpool its UNESCO heritage site status, but you know, that wouldn't be my place to say, would it? You know, I'll leave the Evertonians to discuss that one. All I can do is be my magnificent self and just laugh at the absolute bitterness of it all. Like, someone has to tell me this, because I've got the word Everton muted on Twitter. I don't even read any other shite. But yeah, someone to tell me that apparently Everton fans saying that I'm racist. Me? Racist? Are you having a laugh? I am, I don't know where that comes from, but again, I'd love to see the proof of my racism anywhere. But of course it doesn't exist, so there you go. Because why would it? Because I've never said or done anything racist. So, yeah, more abuse to be thrown at me for no feckin' good reason. But again, we continue on with the good news. Hello, how are you doing today? How was your day? Well, let's start off with the good news, shall we? Let's start off with the announcement that was made about an hour ago. There you go. Craig to That's Football, confirmed, signed, sealed, delivered. Yeah, we sorted it all out yesterday. Everything agreed for the season ahead. I will be joining Mark Goldbridge and the team, drawing the guys over on That's Football for the upcoming season to talk about all the non-Liverpool related stuff, watch-alongs of non-Liverpool games, all that type of stuff we did through the Euros, only for non-Liverpool related stuff. So everything Liverpool related will of course remain here on Anfield Agenda with myself. And yeah, happy days for that one. Glad to get it over the line, glad to get it done. And yeah, someone said, how did you pass the medical on That's Football? It was a very easy medical, mate. I'll be honest with you. It's how are you feeling? I said sound, and they said grand, that's good enough for us. One of those type of medicals, you know what I mean? But yeah, look, that's very good news. So I'm over the moon with that one, and we can get planning for the season ahead. So again, thank you to everyone for the kind words on that. Really appreciate it. And yeah, here we go. I'm not going to lie, in pre-season games there was look, I'm not even going to answer your question, Ben, because you're spamming my chat and I don't appreciate people spamming my chat, so go away. Right, even though I've no idea what you were saying, I don't care, mate. You're spamming the chat and we don't put it on the channel. How do we go from Mbappe and Sancho to Bowen? Well, look, let's have a little chat around Jarrod Bowen, shall we? Because that's the name that's done the rounds today and has surprised a lot of us, to be fair about it. So Jarrod Bowen, look, I've got to be honest with you, I've watched bits and pieces of him playing with West Ham this season, and look, he's impressed me when I've seen him, but for us to be linked with him did surprise me a little bit. I mean, I'm gathering he's about 23, 24 years of age, something like that from what I remember. Right-sided wide player, quite tricky, obviously would fall into the homegrown category. But other than that, I'd be lying to you if I said, you know, he would be somebody who I would have even considered to be somebody Liverpool are keeping an eye on. I only found out, like the rest of you, when it was reported by The Athletic that we're keeping tabs on Jarrod Bowen. Now, you know, we have spoken about the wide player before on the stream. We've all spoken about Jeremy Doku. We've spoken about some other wide players like a Kone and a few Sancho before he was United bound and a few other ones. But the Jarrod Bowen one really did just come out of nowhere to me. I mean, what's his value? Probably around 30 million quid. And even at that, I'm guessing, because I honestly don't know, nor do I know if West Ham would want to sell him or if Liverpool's interest will be followed up with a bid. But, you know, it was put out there by The Athletic, and they are, you know, an establishment who I would hold their content in high regard. So, yeah, I mean, what do we think, ladies and gentlemen? Jarrod Bowen, a name to throw into the mix for an attacking wide player. Somebody said, remember Robertson only cost 8 million. And actually on that, let me just say, today is the 4-year anniversary of Andy Robertson signing for Liverpool. And has there ever been a better 8 million spent? I mean, not by our club that I can think of in a while anyway. We basically swapped Kevin Stewart to Hull to get Andy Robertson. It was a masterstroke of epic proportions, and you know, I think I can speak for once, I think I can speak for every single Liverpool fan when I say it has been nothing but a pleasure and a privilege to have Andy Robertson at the football club, to see him develop, and a good example again of somebody who didn't come and fit right into the team, somebody who was, you know, kept on the back burner by Klopp until he was fully up to speed and ready, and then when he hit the ground, my God, did Robbo hit the ground running, and we've ended up with an absolute superstar of a left back, and somebody who I think we all love for probably the same reasons, because he's just a damn good lad, and you know, works his backside off, runs for days, always gives 100%, and yeah, look, it's what a pleasure, what a turnaround for him it's been in his career as well. Right, if we sign Bowen and bring photos of... What's this? If we sign Bowen, will he bring photos of good players and say, here's who we could have signed? God, the harshness. Oh, jeez, Mick, that's a little bit harsh, mate. Look, I'm still a little bit in shock with the Bowen stuff, I'll be honest with you. I've been kind of thinking all day about how I'll broach this subject tonight, and the best way is for me to just gauge what your reaction is, because I don't know a lot about Jarrod Bowen other than he's impressed me when I've seen him. I'm baffled, genuinely. This is up there with one of the names I didn't expect Liverpool to be linked with in any way, shape or form. Took time but was superb, said Slapstick when it comes to Andy Robertson. Tsimikas would be one to watch next season, said Charlie. He looked decent yet, particularly for the setup for Sadio Mane's goal yesterday, but what a pass that was from James Milner as well to pick him out. Craig may just join, but I want to say congrats on that football. Thank you very much, Kaelin, much appreciated. Will you give us Origi if you take Bowen? Yes! I mean, I've no idea that the club can agree with me on this, but yes! Absolutely, Divock, I will deliver him on a silver platter to you if that's what it takes, regardless of the Bowen stuff. I mean, if you're interested in Divock Origi, I'm sure a deal can be done. I think Bowen's a good player. Europa League quality though, said from the Asda. I wonder though, I mean, again, a lot of our research will of course be statistically driven. There is, you know, an old-fashioned eye over the players as well. You need to do that, but he's obviously ticking the right boxes if Liverpool are keeping an eye on him. So, you know, is this one that's gone under the radar from a lot of us? Are we undervaluing him? Are we undervaluing what he could be? This is what's so interesting about the way that Kloppo and Michael Edwards and the recruitment team go about their analysis of players, because I don't want to throw around the phrase moneyball, but there's definitely looking for undervalued or underappreciated players who certainly tick a lot of boxes. So is Jarrod Bowen one of them? I've no idea. I wouldn't have even thought of his name until it was put out there by The Athletic. What's happened with that football? Anyone, did he sign the thing? Yes, Keane, done, dusted, delivered. Right, let's move on, and no, actually not. Let's continue to talk about Jarrod Bowen, because I don't think we've finished on this one yet. And again, I'm just looking through my notes really quickly because it's been a hectic day, and I'm just seeing if I've got anything else or anyone had sent anything else to me regarding Bowen. I've got a list of Liverpool's players' contracts and when they run out as well, so remember me to talk about that one. Nope. Nothing I can see there on that. No, we'll talk about Mbappe in a while. Talk about the wage books. Yeah, there's a few bits and pieces, but Bowen, has anybody seen a price mentioned, or was it just James Pearce of the Athletic saying that Liverpool are genuinely interested in him? Because I'm intrigued. Put it that way. I'm intrigued. Bowen could excel under Klopp, said Addison. Didn't Bowen come through Hull as well? I wouldn't know, Johnny boy. I mean, I'm sure somebody in the chat would know. Saul, we'll get on to him in a couple of minutes. Game in Monster. There's been a few updates on Saul as well. Again, depending on who you believe, there's slightly varying reports on him. Jarrod Bowen price tag set at £35 million, says Elliot via the Athletic. Thank you for that, Elliot, much appreciated. So £35 million, right? So where would £35 million gauge in continental footballer, shall we say? Because £35 million Premier League money is probably the equivalent to £25 million outside the Premier League money. Would we be fair in saying that? You're obviously going to pay a bit of a premium for a homegrown player, somebody who's used to the Premier League, buying from another Premier League club. So if Bowen, was the target, you would imagine with the inflation of what I've spoken about there in price, probably a £25 million player if you were to look on the continent. So what does 25 million quid buy you on the continent with regards to wingers? Probably not that much, to be honest. I mean, would it get you Doku? I would say it would be on the low side that we would, or at least we would be quoted for Jeremy Doku. So it's one we'll keep an eye on. But at that price point, you know, you have to ask yourself a couple of things. Are we gonna, again, reading some really good articles yesterday, I'm wondering, are we going to see a 4-2-3-1 system? So for the longest time you've heard me speak about how I'd love Mo to go through the centre and how I think he's primed to do so. To do that, you obviously need other wide players. So you've got a couple of options there. You've obviously got Sadio Mane, who we know can play left and right, preferred to be on the right, but when Mo came in was shifted onto the left. We've got young Harvey Elliott, obviously very adept to playing in the right hand side. We've got Diogo Jota, who can play anywhere across the front three, and Firmino, whose best position would probably be in a hole behind the attacker. So I can understand it if the system is going to be a 4-2-3-1 and you're putting more emphasis on maybe a bit more attacking with those two pivoting midfielders, making everything tick, being the legs, the water carriers, whatever cliched phrase you want to use. So if the plan is to switch system a bit, then okay, I understand it. But then we still look to the midfield positions and wonder, okay, well then if we're looking for a midfielder, is it going to be a Saul? Is it going to be a Houssem Aouar? What type of midfielder are we then looking for? I'm sure Bowen can play on the left as well. I'm sure he probably can. Just naturally plays more on the right hand side from the bit of research I've done. Mo is better player in the right wing, not centre. I mean, obviously I respect where you're coming from on it, and I'm not saying you're right or you're wrong. It's, you know, it's all just opinion based stuff. But what I would say there, who was it to ask the question? Obi Notham, I think that's how I pronounce it. Or oh boy Notham, I don't know how I'm pronouncing this. But what I will say is, when you see Mohamed Salah these days out in the wide position, he's usually accompanied by 2 or 3 players. He's usually not being able to have as much impact on the game as maybe he would like. Now, you know, it's all very well and good me saying shift him through to the centre, but we still have to be able to supply him with the ammunition he'd need to put the ball in the back of the net. So I get where you're coming from, but I just think as a player gets a little bit older and maybe his explosiveness with regards to pace dips off a little bit. We've seen players like Ronaldo reinvent themselves to the centre, and you know, your main attribute for that has got to be, you know, where the goal is, and Mohamed Salah has proved he knows where the goal is. So I'm not saying that you're wrong, I'm just saying I know for a fact that 4-2-3-1 is a system that we are considering. So if we're going to do that, somebody has to be the one, and my guess would be that it will be Salah. Bernadette, thank you for the super chat. So congratulations on That's Football. You will light the channel up. I think Mark will love to spar with you. He better get ready to lose. Yeah, it's going to be lots of fun. But yeah, I'm just delighted to be making more content. You know, that's all I want to do is, you know, make more content and have fun. So thank you, Bernadette, much appreciated. Craig, you should do some Minecraft streams. I'm considering a little bit of gaming on Craig Station, but Minecraft would certainly not be near the top of my list anyway. Right, on Jarrod Bowen though, any more conversation points on Bowen before we move on and we move towards Houssem Aouar or the next conversation? Just had a One Football notification for Bowen. There you go, said Harvey. And look, I will be recording this week's One Football Anfield Agenda News Roundup tonight, so that video will be coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that one. Right, so let's move off Jarrod Bowen then for a minute. We can come back to him later on if people need to. And let's move on to this gentleman, Houssem Aouar. So the price tag for Houssem Aouar seems to have dripped. Definitely not dripped. Well, dipped, let's go with, an awful lot. So you go back a year or so, prices being quoted were around the 50 million quid mark, but articles put out there today suggest that, you know, Leon could be willing to do business at a number somewhere between 17 and the early 20 millions. So, you know, we know Arsenal have a long held interest in Houssem Aouar, but, you know, they're, I think, in a more sell to buy position even than we are at this moment in time. Obviously with the Ben White deal that they're just about to get over the line. So I have to say, a 17, let's call it even a 20 million quid Houssem Aouar is a bargain to me. And I think if that is the price and we're going to move Shaqiri on, to me, I'd have it all day. I mean, I go and get Houssem Aouar every day of the week. And look, there has been, the reason I haven't spoken about Saul and Henderson and Shaqiri is they're all linked together, and I'll be talking about them in a few minutes. But yeah, Houssem Aouar, I mean, look, Arsenal definitely interested in him. I'm not going to sit here and deny that one. And, you know, the links from us to Houssem Aouar, I think, originated from Julien Laurent, who, as I've said before, very well respected French journalist. But I've read more stuff since. And again, take it with a pinch of salt, because until we know that there's been a bid lodged, or we know that he's going to be signing and he has a Liverpool shirt in his hands, all this stuff is just gossip. I want him at LFC, said Reese. I think a lot of us wouldn't mind him, mate, particularly at the price, you know, I'm speaking about. If they do business around the 20 million quid mark, I mean, it's a bargain, isn't it, really? If that's the price, it seems like a no-brainer. That's my thinking on it exactly, Tivnik, exactly, mate. What have we got? Craig, bro, LFC have removed their pinned tweet. Who do you reckon it'll be for? I've got no idea, pal. I haven't got a clue. I mean, I would be absolutely lying to you right now if I told you that I knew what it was about. I have no idea if it means anything, or if they're going to be changing it to an announcement about tickets or something. I haven't got a clue. I do have actually something on tickets for those that might be interested in the two friendlies against Athletic Club Bilbao and Osasuna. So Anfield will be at a 75% capacity for that one, as we spoke about before. General admission ticket prices: adults £23, over 65 will be £17.25, and young adults aged 17 to 21 £11.50. Juniors aged 16 and under, tickets are free and can be purchased at a ratio of 3-1 with at least one accompanying adult. And then tickets go on sale for season ticket holders on Wednesday, July 21st at 2 p.m, and then members online sale from Friday, July 23rd at 11 a.m. So again, if you're looking at going to the Bilbao or Osasuna games, keep an eye on the club site for that one. Ticket prices and sale dates have been announced. Why would he join Arsenal? No European football. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I'm all for having the bit of the crack around winding up Arsenal fans and all. And look, well, I'll say what I would say to many other clubs. If Liverpool are genuinely interested, and it was a decision between Liverpool and Arsenal, I am sure the decision would be to join Liverpool at this moment in time. But, you know, we have to gauge how serious each club's interest is in the players. And the honest answer here is, we don't know how serious our interest is in Aouar. Now, it does date back a while, I'll give you that one, but I mean, look, we'd all love it at 20 million quid. I can't see many negatives at 20 million quid, I really can't. Any news on Camavinga? Again, I'm going to stick to my guns on Camavinga, like I've said many times. For me, again, I know United fans, they're interested in a bloody blah. For me, he'll end up at PSG. And on PSG, actually, let me just read you out something today that I came across that it absolutely stopped me in my tracks. Now, if you don't believe me on this, go on to the Echo's website and you'll find this on there. So it says, PSG's wage bill stands at £354 million annually in the latest set of accounts. But a new deal for Neymar Jr. and a potential new deal for Mbappe, plus the millions that will be added to the payroll through signing Sergio Ramos, Donnarumma, Wijnaldum and Hakimi, their wage bill seems to be heading towards £400 million a year. So, no major surprise with that so far. But here's the part that really got to me, ladies and gentlemen. That would place them £55 million per year ahead of what Liverpool pay in wages. So, gauging from this, in and around a few million quid either way, are we saying that Liverpool pay out £350 million a year in wages? Are we saying this? Because if this is the case, who the fuck is getting them? Because we know, okay, we have incentivised contracts, but if we look at Mohamed Salah as our top earner, you know, his base salary seems to be, what we're aware of, around 200 grand a week. I'm sure there's goal bonuses, Champions League qualification bonuses, blah de blah de blah. That will bring that up, but I genuinely am struggling to see how their wage bill, with the players that they have, and our wage bill is so close. Because if we're going off last year and we're talking about incentivised contracts, well, let's be fair, there wasn't a whole lot achieved last year other than qualification for the Champions League. So Mohamed Salah put up some decent numbers in the Premier League with goals, but outside of that, I can't really think of too many players who would be, you know, triggering that many bonuses. So how is my question, when we know, like, Mbappe's on mad money and Neymar's on mad money and Donnarumma is absolutely going to be on mad money? How? How? Like, is the tea lady getting 250 grand a week or something? I am baffled at how this can be true. Genuinely astounded at how we can be anywhere near their wage bill. I'll agree that we could have more of a group of players who are on the in excess of 100 grand a week bracket. Fair enough. But to be in and around 350 million a week, I'm honestly stumped. I mean, I'm sure somebody can help me out with this, but my mind is genuinely baffled at that one. Do I mean a week? You think I mean that we pay £350 million in wages a week, mate? I mean, have a think about that for a second before I go any further. Let's just give you a second there. So you're wondering if I mistakenly said or meant to say that we're paying out £350 million a week in wages. Just think about that for a second and multiply that up in your head over the course of a year. I'll wait. Right, so we've got to the part where you realise that that's pretty much the value of the club there, fella. We'd be bankrupt in 3 months probably. So no, buddy, I didn't mean a week. I absolutely meant a year. Look, if I said a week, let's just pretend I didn't. Now, if I did say a week, okay, fair enough. But I'm never wrong. It's important that we remember that. If I did say a week, disregard everything I said previously and blame Connor. Anyway, there you go. This probably did say a week, to be honest. I mean, I have been known to sticking my foot in my mouth and saying some stupid shit, so it is a year. So if I did say a week, it's Connor's fault. I'm obviously reading a script that he wrote out for me here, so yeah. Sorry, dude. Right, we move on. Craig, maybe they've added the Jude Bellingham money on early wink wink. I'm still astounded by this price tag, by the way, of wages per year. Definitely not per week. Definitely not. Can anyone piece that together on how, like, let's look, Donnarumma signed for PSG on a free contract, which wasn't a free contract as we know, because no such thing as a free contract. So he would have got a nice amount of money and probably got a very, very good wage. So I'm going to imagine he's on at least 300 grand a week. Neymar, definitely north of $500,000 a week. Mbappe, I'm sure probably in and around the same. And then you've got other really high earners on their books there as well that we spoke about. We know the money Gini Wijnaldum's coming in on. Hakimi, I'm sure, is coming in on a tasty wage as well. I just can't get my head around it. Like, I'm genuinely baffled. But let's get on to Hendo, because I suppose this is where all this comes together. And the latest on Jordan Henderson that I've seen today is that, again, I want to get the article right so I don't give out the wrong information. So Juventus are the latest club to be interested in Jordan Henderson anyway, according to a couple of outlets. And PSG Madrid, we know, have also showed their interest in him. But there is an article that came out today from Diario Sport who said Liverpool have made an opening offer for Saul Niguez of around €40 million. Here's the interesting part though, plus 2 players. Oh yeah, you heard me right. €40 million plus 2 players, which has to be the highest level of poo-poo I've ever heard in my life, because one, we know that the price to buy Saul is around £40 million, which is about, I think, €34 million. And the 2 players, by the way, the 2 players that we've apparently offered in part exchange along with €40 million are Shaqiri, no surprise there, we think we could all agree on that one, and the man on the screen right now, El Capitan, Jordan Henderson. Now, I'm sorry, but I'm calling bullshit on this one. I don't know this outlet from Adam, I've seen their name bandied around a bit, but in what world do Liverpool look at a player who was available for £40 million, offer £34 million, a £8 to £12 million Shaqiri, and the captain of the football club just for a bit of a hoo-ha? I can't see that happening. So that's absolute nonsense of the highest order. But it still doesn't resolve the situation around Jordan Henderson, because as was put out yesterday, we know that the captain seems a little bit unhappy at the minute, perhaps because he's not feeling the love right now. So we know that the likes of Fabinho, Alisson, Van Dijk and a few other first team players are currently negotiating new deals with the football club. But apparently the football club are a little bit reticent to offer Jordan Henderson a new 4-year deal, which would take him through till he was, what is he now, 31, till he's about 35. So can I understand that perspective? Well, yes, I can, if I'm being honest. I can understand the club looking at Hendo and going, okay, maybe offering him a 4-year deal would be a bit much. So we're at a point where he wants to feel the love from the club, and the stuff that came out yesterday suggested that there's a possibility he could go this summer. And that's the part that I can't understand, because let's say we're playing a game here where we allow Hendo to run down his contract. So he stays with the club for 2 years, and at 33 either the club offer him an extension or he walks. I think we'd all be able to swallow that a little bit better than the idea of selling our captain, our talisman, the leader in the dressing room, somebody who has always been undervalued by mainly the outside world. But you know, it's taken some Liverpool fans quite a while to come around to see exactly what it is Jordan Henderson brings to the squad. So for me, selling him this summer would be madness of the highest order. I wouldn't be against letting his contract run down the 2 years till he's 33. I've got to be bluntly honest, because I understand that football is a cutthroat business as well. And at 33, you know, you'll reevaluate then. At least that's how I'd see it. Maybe even give him 1 more year and then reevaluate, and maybe see if you give him a 2-year extension then to bring him through to 34. But I get that side of it. The only part of all of this that I can't wrap my head around is any possibility of him being sold this summer, because we've just lost Mr. Consistency in Gini Wijnaldum, both from a fitness perspective, from and a playing ability. He's always a solid 7 out of 10, and of course he's never injured. So, you know, Hendo has had a few injuries. I get that. You know, we're all well aware of the long established reason why United and Alex Ferguson didn't move for Hendo, because they felt he might have problems with his gait, his running action, and that might lead to some issues later on in his career. But you know what none of us can doubt is the win percentage with and without Hendo in the team. It speaks for itself, and what he brings. You know, so for me, it has to be a last resort. It has to be. I wouldn't be against letting him run down his contract for the 2 years. You know, that I'll be honest about. I wouldn't be against that, because I think that's fair enough. 33 years of age to reevaluate, but to lose our captain after what we've already lost, it's just madness. 25 million and Shaqiri for Saul, your thoughts on this? 25 million. I think it's a bit lowballing it, to be honest with you. £25 million on Shaqiri for Saul, I think would probably, in my head, value Saul at around £35 million. Be a decent opening offer if Shaqiri was a player that Atleti were interested in, but I think we'd probably end up paying a few quid more than that. Now, what I'd always been told, let me just get Hendo off the screen and bring Saul back up in a second. What I'd always been told was that the asking price for Saul was kind of linked to how much they paid Udinese for Rodrigo de Paul. So what I'd always been told by the people I know in Spain was that probably going to cost about 5 million quid extra on top of what Atletico paid for Rodrigo de Paul. So let's say he was 35 million, the number for Saul would be about 40 million. Now he does have a buyout clause in his contract of, if my memory's right, something mad like 150 million, but all parties are aware that, you know, that number is pie in the sky and the deal could be reached for a significantly lower number. We also know that United have been strongly linked with Saul, not just in this window but going back a few windows. Now, you know, Paul Pogba again is playing his usual summer games over there at Old Trafford with Mr. Raiola about whether he stays or he goes or what he does, and PSG's name has been bandied around now with Pogba. So we do have to, wonder, is it time to make a move? If Saul is the one that we want, then I think it probably is time to actually put the money down on the table, even though everything we've heard suggests that the midfield position will be the last one we fill. We need to fill an attacking player first. So I'm intrigued, and again, not against Saul coming in at all, not against Basuma coming in, not against Renato Sanchez coming in, not against Houssem Aouar coming in. I know all of these aren't like for like players, by the way, but these are all players that I'd be absolutely fine with Liverpool signing. The only thing I would not accept, and I think a lot of Liverpool fans hopefully wouldn't accept, is any idea of selling the captain this summer. Surely to God they can't be that stupid. I mean, even for people who just look at the numbers, surely to God they can't be that stupid. Mark Foster said, can't sell Henderson, just mad. Craig, what players do I think is to get sold? So look, what we know is yesterday deals were agreed for Awioni. He's gone to Union Berlin, 8 million quid if I remember that correctly. Grujic has gone to Porto. There is an obligation to buy for £11 million, I think, so he'll be on loan there technically for a year, but it's not an option, it's an obligation. So Liverpool have announced that as a permanent departure. We've moved on Lee Miller and we've moved on Grabara, so we've freed up about, let's say, just over 22 million quid there so far. I've no idea what way their wages were if we were paying part of them when they were on loans or whatever, so I genuinely haven't got a clue on that one. So we've brought in some money, and we bought Ibrahim Kanade. Now, I look at Kanade as a signing from last summer when we didn't replace Dejan Lovren. So in my head, that was one we should have done. And we didn't sign Ozan Kabak. So I'm not giving them, in my head, him as a signing for this summer. In my head, we're going in from now with a blank slate. That's me. That's just the way I'm looking at it. Bowen over Sam Maximin all day. Well, the numbers I've seen thrown around, Lauren, for Sam Maximin being crazy numbers, like, I mean, ridiculous. Hendo's much more than a player, said Leighton. You know what, fella, I could not agree with you more than what you've just said there. When a lot of people asked me when Benitez signed for Everton how I felt about it, and I kind of gave the same answer. To me, Rafa is a little bit more than just football. He's the man. It's what he's done for the city, the club, and how well he portrays himself and the city. And with Jordan Henderson, it's the exact same thing. The man is just a gent through and through. Never courts publicity, never in the headlines for the wrong things, and always been a true leader. I mean, to take over the captain's armband from Steven Gerrard is not easy. And the man did it with such aplomb that I've genuinely been astounded at what a leader he is, and grown to love him even more as the years have gone on. So, to see Hendo lift that Premier League title and lead these guys through a season of ups and downs, and so near but so far the year before, and yes, we won a Champions League, but we lost out in the league title by a narrow margin. And to just see them get over the line and to see him lead the club forward. And he is a leader. Whether you think it's on the pitch or off the pitch, the man is a leader of men. and he does it in the most positive way possible, bringing people together to tackle tough issues. He was the one that got all the players together to put the ESL post out around the Super League. You know, he spoke with a lot of the England players around the stance on racism, and that was, you know, Harry Kane involved, Rashford, loads of the English players got together on that one as well. And you just got to say, he's a statesman. Why would you consider selling him? I don't get it. I'm really, really annoyed by the Henderson thing. Has anybody seen or heard from Uncle Raptor lately? I haven't seen him in a while, actually. It's been a while since Raptor's been in the chat, but yeah, I must send him a WhatsApp message. How are you doing, Craig? I'm good, Thomas. And look, for those coming in a little bit late, bit of a personal announcement. There you go, on the screen right there now. As was confirmed earlier on by all reliable sources, breaking news, That's Football have reached an agreement with this guy for the upcoming season. So I bribed them for the medical, obviously. I got through that one because, let's be honest, I'm not getting on no running machine to do no exercise or anything like that, unless maybe somebody's dogling about a bag of Kios in front of me. But yes, I am going to be doing some content each week with That's Football for the season ahead. Some with Mark, maybe some of my own, some madness is going to ensue. So, you know, if you've already tuned into That's Football, thank you. If you haven't, make sure you give it a watch during the season. It won't change anything here on Anfield Agenda, because all the Liverpool content is still going to be the same on here. And I've got more good news, because a now familiar face is going to be coming back to our own channel. You're going to get to see Mr. Jack Gill again, because I'm not somebody that won't hold my hands up, or I've always said doors are always open. Remember that? I shit the bed on the That's Football thing. It wasn't them. I was going through a bad time. I was cranky and I was angry, and I put the tweet out saying that I wasn't going to do it. That was on me. Nothing to do with That's Football. So I took 2 days off and I cleared my head. And I cleared my head on a lot of fronts. Obviously, I stayed away from content, talked with my family, spoke with my psychologist, relaxed, and I reached out to Jack, because I know, and I don't want to speak out of turn here, but Jack hasn't been having the easiest time lately either. So I spoke with Jack. And Jack will be back, and he's the right person for the job, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I've always said I've nothing but the highest of ambitions for Jack Gill, and I want to help Jack Gill get to where Jack Gill wants to get to, because I think he's goddamn good at what he does. And like me, I see a lot of similarities in Jack Gill and myself, so you're going to see Jack Gill back on the channel real soon, which I'm delighted to say, because he feels like part of the family, and it didn't feel right not having him on board. So another bit of good news. So there you go. As I've always said, my door is always open. I am hot-headed. I will do and say some stupid shit at times, but I will always put my hands up when I'm in the wrong, except on the incident earlier on. That's anything on screen is Connor's fault. But if I'm mistaken or hot-headed, I will always own up to it and front up to it, and take it on the chin, and the door's always open. So great to have Jack back on board. Great to be going over with the guys on That's Football. And yeah, lots of other stuff. Somebody said Craig sold out to Mark. Did I? It's funny, because nothing's going to change from Anfield Agenda, so I don't know how I'm selling out by putting myself on a bigger platform. And but look, want to call me a sellout? Don't give a shite, mate. My job is one thing and one thing only: to make entertaining content and to make my family's life better. And after that, I don't care what you think of me or anybody else thinks of me, because I'm going to be the same old me, calling it straight, saying it as it is, and not giving a shit what you have to say about negative stuff. Because that lady in the kitchen, and she is in the kitchen, I'm not being stereotypical at the minute, she genuinely is in there doing something, and the 2 kids upstairs are my first and only concern. So if I need to sell out, if I need to do anything to make their lives better, you best fucking believe I'm going to do it, because I love them more than anything. They've been there for me through thick and thin. Everything I do is for them. Hey Craig, fairly new to the channel, haven't seen you on That's Football, love the late night agenda shows, so you're a top bloke. Thank you, Oscar, great to have you with us, mate, and thank you for the kind words. Yeah, you know, the real madness on Anfield Agenda is during the watch-alongs. You know, when the season gets going, you know, this is when I lose me shit, you know what I mean? This is when the real me comes out. This is calm, Craig. What have we got? When you starting position or starting posting on Craig Station? So I'm going to start recording the interviews next week. So first one I'm going to be recording next Wednesday, and then I'm hoping to get a couple in the bag early doors next week and get them edited with Connor and get them out. So hopefully early the week after next, the first couple of interviews and chats will be out on Craig Station. And I've got some fun stuff lined up for that channel. Trust me, it's going to be even more mental than this because I've got no restrictions and I don't need to worry about sponsors and I don't need to worry about any of that type of shit. I don't care if every stream is demonetized on Craig's station. I am going for it 100%. You're going to see my personality on steroids, like the real Craig, not the one that, you know, has to keep his mouth quiet because he's on a stream and he's got sponsors and stuff. The real Craig that my mates know and my family know. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Let's just have a bit of fun with that one. Right, let's get back to Bowen. I think Bowen will surprise us if we get him. Bowen was in the starting 11 30 times, said Tom. In Klopp we trust, and that, Darren, sums up my feeling about a lot of the stuff as well, my man. Absolutely, in Klopp we trust. If Klopp has signalled out Bowen or signalled out Uar or signalled out Saul or whoever it might be, as long as it's who the manager wants, I'm always going to be on board, mate. And that's why the decision around Wijnaldum and Henderson is one that sticks in my throat a lot, because we're all pretty much sure that Klopp would have kept Gini Wijnaldum. In fact, I'm 99% certain that Klopp would have kept Gini Wijnaldum and that decision wouldn't have been his. That would have been the money men. And I am not even going to drop 1%. I am 100% certain that Jurgen Klopp will want to keep Jordan Henderson, and that this is not going to be Klopp driven any bad blood with Henderson. Absolutely not. He loves Hendo. He's the captain of the football club. He probably has the closest relationship of all the players with Jordan Henderson. So yeah, that one really has pissed me off, because we don't need any more bad PR around the club. And you know, Hendo's not somebody who goes clout chasing and looking for publicity. So to me, that one came out of nowhere yesterday. What have we got? Hands off our Bowen, please. Ollie, mate, it's not me, pal. You know, don't shoot the messenger here, buddy. I'm just talking about a story that was dropped out there by the Athletic, pal, and it's come as a bit of a shock to all of us, probably yourself included, because, you know, I had no idea that Liverpool were even tracking or looking. Like, I've got lists of people I know Liverpool are or aren't looking at, but Bowen, never even heard the name mentioned, mate, in the circles I move in. So totally took me by surprise. Joanne, thank you for the super sticker. Said work, appreciate it. Oh, Lauren, do you think you get to continue to comment in the chat after saying that I sold out to Mark? Oh no, you can go fuck yourself. You don't get to comment in our chat anymore, my friend. You can do them. So yeah, bye bye to you. You don't get to comment that I sold out and then start talking about Tielemans and other players again. That's not how this dictatorship works. Love from Denmark, said Alan. Love right back to you, Alan. Appreciate it, mate. Ageism from fat. I have no idea what that's about. If you're calling me fat, well, look, that's no news to me, mate. I'm not shocked there, but salty. Sean, jump up and down and look for your pat in the head all you want, mate. I'm not salty. I'm a dictator. This is my platform. I get to say what happens and what doesn't happen. So if you think I'm salty, Sean, feel free to fuck off, mate. Nobody's keeping you here. I won't miss you. Bye bye. Adios. Farewell. So long. Ta-ta. Vlahovic has gone really quiet. Loads of people asking about Vlahovic. I've never believed that link personally. You know, Fiorentina player, I think he's 21 years of age, scored a decent amount of goals last year, but other than that, I don't believe it, if I'm being honest with you. It just doesn't strike. We're not going to sign a striker. We're going to sign a wide forward, or we're going to sign maybe somebody who can play across the front three. So the links to any particular strikers, I don't see as realistic. Craig, you should do more videos with the Irish guy. I've reached out to Michael. I sent him an email and I dropped him a DM, but I haven't heard back yet. So yes, I definitely agree. I like doing stuff with Michael Ramsey. He's good fun. Craig, you're an inspirational guy, but family fantastic. Love the way you do anything for them. Yeah, look, mate, I wouldn't be here without them. It's as simple as that. So my family and the subscribers are the only people that's opinions matter to me. Those that come in and slag me off or tell me I'm shit, I don't care. Like, I mean, whatever. Don't really give a shit. Don't know me, never met me. Couldn't really care less what your opinions about me are. I'm so pleased you're in a good place. The future's so bright. You've got to wear shades, said Liz. You love to see it, Liz, and lots of love to you and your husband and your family. I hope you're all well over in Florida. Yeah, things are looking good for once, Liz, and you know I certainly haven't taken it for granted because I've had my fair share of ups and downs, and you know I try to enjoy the ups when they're here. Bowen or Doku? You know, I've got to be honest and say Doku for me in that answer, mate. He's got a few years on Bowen to Bowen's what, 24. Doku, 3 or 4 years behind him there, and I think his ceiling is probably really high. But could I understand why Bowen might be a player Klopp looks at? Well, I haven't had a little look at his stats and a few small bits and pieces in the short time I've had. Yes. Are we back? Sorry. YouTube went unresponsive there for me for a second. Sorry, folks. I just need to check if we're back or not. Page went unresponsive for me there and it had froze, so I wasn't sure if we were live or not. So apologies on that one. Yeah, sorry. It got frozen there for a second. I think we're back now. All should be good. Mbappe. I see somebody put Mbappe into the chat. And yes, I do have a little something to talk about on Mbappe actually. Where is it? So it looks like Kylian Mbappe could potentially sign a short-term deal at PSG. Now, what shocks me about this one is how the article continues to go on and says that Mbappe could sign a short-term deal at am I frozen or unfrozen? I don't know if I'm frozen or unfrozen. I'm going to continue to talk anyway and we'll go from there. Yeah, so apparently Mbappe might sign a short-term deal with a gentleman's agreement that he can leave for a certain amount. Now, call me naive, but there isn't a hope in hell if I'm Kylian Mbappe that I'm signing anything that includes the phrase gentleman's agreement in it, because we've already seen PSG's unwillingness to allow Mbappe to leave this summer and their somehow insistence on the fact that he won't leave next summer even if it's on a free. So, call me naive, but if I'm him, I ain't signing shit that says there's a gentleman's agreement in place. I want it in big, dirty, bold, black letters that says unequivocally that if a trigger is a clause is triggered, I can get out of there. I mean, yeah, that baffled me to see that today. Somebody who, look, let's be realistic, none of us thought was ever going to sign for Liverpool, but be very naive of him to sign an agreement in my belief, because either he runs down his contract, leaves PSG next summer for free, in which case he has his choice of pretty much every major club in the world, and wages won't be an issue because he can get his wages over the course of his contract and there will be truckloads of money thrown at him. So I struggle to understand why that would work for him. Definitely see, of course, why it can work with PSG. And interestingly enough, there is precedent for this in the world of football before. So we've seen, for instance, Timo Werner. You remember he could have left Leipzig but signed a short-term extension, or signed an extension, I should say, with the agreement that if X amount came in for him, they would sell him, and they did. Chelsea came in, they sold Werner, and he moved from Leipzig to Stamford Bridge. So it has happened before, but with all due respect to Timo Werner, he's not Kylian Mbappe with regards to worldwide appeal. What's the Phillip news? Keep up the good work. So the Nat Phillips news is that there are a couple of clubs in for Phillips. 1 second. Again, I've just got to double check on my notes to make sure I don't give you the wrong information, because everything changes quickly. So I'm just trying to have a look through my notes really quick and WhatsApp messages. So it looks like he's going to be out the door. Brighton were the early favourites to sign him, but Stuttgart have apparently now, Bayer Leverkusen I believe it is, have apparently entered the race to sign Nat Phillips. Now that doesn't surprise me, because as I said before, I believe he was born in Stuttgart, Nat Phillips, and we know he was on loan there. So, you know, they probably paid attention to him when they were there, and at 15 million quid, if that's the price tag, then it's a fairly reasonable one for a centre-back that has done reasonably well with Liverpool, at least has improved over the last few months. So whether he goes to Germany and goes to Bayer Leverkusen, or whether he ends up maybe going with Brighton as a Ben White replacement, that remains to be seen. But, you know, 15 million quid is not a number any of us would have expected we'd be getting from, if we went back a year, for instance. We would have probably thought it was 1.5 million. So goes to show you, due to his own hard work, obviously good coaching and his own belief, the rewards are there. He got a little bit of luck, got his way into the Liverpool team, did very well, and now looks like he's got a good move set up for himself. So yeah, happy days for him on that one. Wherever he goes, I wish him nothing but the best. Would I like Renato Sanchez at Liverpool? Again, it's one of those transfers, mate, that I'd understand from a whole load of different reasons. Age profile, potential. I know he broke through at Benfica, had a bit of an up and down time at Bayern Munich, went to Swansea, didn't do well there, but has gone to Lille and, you know, been part of a championship winning team there. So I could understand that one, and I wouldn't have... Yeah, I'd be fine, basically. Cut a long story short, I'd be fine if we signed him. Craig, what did you say Houssem Aouar's price tag was? What I read is somewhere between 17 million and the early 20 million, so 21, 22 million, something along that. Falls somewhere in and around that, which is a lot less than the 50 odd million that was being quoted from last year. Would I take Ndidi at Liverpool? I mean, it's a bit of an odd question, because we have, you know, a fantastic set of players, and he's not going to get in the team ahead of Fabinho. But do I like Ndidi as a footballer? Yes, he's a very fine footballer, and I still, you know, I would have given Grujic an opportunity at Liverpool, to be honest. Give him a season working with Fabinho and seeing what he could do. But yeah, I mean, there's a fair few of those Leicester players, Joel, I'd happily take, mate, because, you know, they're very good at recruitment. Craig, like the white shirt, looking fab. Thank you. I don't wear white because chunky people like me, well, I can only speak for me, I don't look great in white because, you know, Oompa Loompa and all that stuff. I was meaning Calvin Phillips. Well, then you got to be a bit clearer, Donald Miel Mucker. Seeing we're linked, look, Calvin Phillips won't be leaving Leeds this summer. I'd be astonished if he does. And I think, you know, you can look at Calvin Phillips and see a long-term Jordan Henderson replacement there. I mean, it takes, you know, very little to put those two pieces together, but everything that I've read suggests he's definitely going to be staying at Leeds for another year minimum anyway. And he's a fine footballer, Calvin Phillips. So yeah, no, I wouldn't expect him to be a Liverpool player this summer. So sorry, I didn't realise that's the Phillips that you were talking about, because my mind automatically went to Nat Phillips. I hope Nat comes to Burnley, said Keane. I mean, you get yourself a good lad anyway, Keane, no doubt about it. Or Kieran, excuse me, mate, my apologies. You get yourself a good lad anyway. Hi Craig, would you like Houssem Aouar or Saul and maybe Doku? Very, very different types of midfielders there between Houssem Aouar and Saul. Obviously, you know, one far more creative than the other. One more of a water carrier all-rounder. So, I don't... The honest answer I'd say is I think we probably need both. I think we need one of each and an attacking player, but between the two of them in the system that we play, I'd probably take Saul. I think, again, that bit of grit in midfield, that bit of consistency, I mean, yes, you'll get the moments of brilliance from Houssam Aouar being able to unpick a lock, but with the way I believe we're going to set up the season ahead, I would go with SAUL in that scenario. But Doku I'd love as well. Would I take Coutinho back at Liverpool? No, and I still see the stories linking him to us, and I'm still baffled as to how, because Barcelona can barely give this dude away right now. I mean, Marseille were a club that were linked with him recently. And you know, look at what he's earning at Barcelona. We're not going to give him anywhere near that, and nor should we. And he's coming back from a long-term knee injury, and he's only gone downhill since he's left Liverpool. And he was very disrespectful in the way that he went out. And I don't personally, from what I know, think that Jurgen Klopp would be open to the idea of him coming back to Liverpool. But you know, it's football, so you know, never say never. But I'd be astonished if it happened. Traore, again, links were there a few weeks ago. I've always had my doubts because of the issue he has with his shoulder being dislocated a lot. And it's a realistic price as well that I think Wolves would take for Adama Traore. So they're trying to do a bit of rebuilding themselves, and there are a couple of players, from what I've heard, Traore and Ruben Neves could be two players that they would be willing to listen to offers for. No club will ever tell you we flat out want to sell somebody, but from what I've read and seen, they're the two players that I think Wolves would be somewhat open to looking to sell. Would you take Emre Can back? No. Heard anything for price so far? 25 million. 17 to 22 is what I'd seen, mate, somewhere around it. But again, we're not a million miles apart there, are we? You're on 25. You know, again, anything around that number seems very reasonable to me. Vernon Akone, I've not seen anything on, fella, anything whatsoever. You know, since his performance with in the under 21 Euros, and you know, obviously being part of that Lille title winning team, not seen anything on him. Look, ladies and gents, I gotta go. I've got to record the One Football show, and that'll be out tomorrow. Please do drop a like on the stream, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, I will talk to you guys tomorrow as always. And keep an eye out for that One Football news video. So if you hadn't got time to watch everything tonight, and you want to know maybe what's going to be in the stories tomorrow, get ready for this, because it'll be coming out at around, I think Connor puts it out at 1 PM, I think. But make sure you've got your notifications turned on. Look, I'm absolutely melting here, so I'm gonna go. I'll talk to you soon. Lots of love.